Ayan. Hello everyone. Good afternoon po. Welcome and thank you for joining us today dito sa Awesome Connections. And my name po pala by the way is Mommy Loi sa lahat po ng bago lang dito sa page natin ng Life with Mommy Loi. I'm a mom of a child with autism and this is a special monthly webinar po na dinededicate po namin sa mga parents and kids of children with autism and ADHD. So, this is our, I think, third Facebook Live na po for this year po. Yan. And hopefully, hindi pa po ito yung last for the year kasi meron pa po akong tinatry na makonekta na isa pang specialista for, kung hindi man next year, next week is the week after. So, today's topic po is dear to my heart kasi especially because one of the reason I think my son was able to speak was through these early interventions na makakasama niyo po today. Now that he is at school, yung anak ko po, si Louie, yung bunso, iba naman na po yung mga challenges niya na na-encounter sa school. But I think if we haven't had this therapy po and yung early intervention po na ma-introduce ko today sa inyo before nung mga 3 to 5 years old siya, I think he won't be able to cope, no? Kasi non-verbal po siya initially when he was 2 and a half hanggang mga early, bago mag 3 years old. Ayan. Fidgety siya, very hyper, and most probably, kung hindi because of the early intervention, maaring mataas pa rin yung behavior issues niya. So today, we'll be discussing the fundamentals of ABA. Ayan, ano nga ba yung ABA na yan? Malamang naririnig nyo na po yan, mga dear parents. And concepts na kahit tayo mga magulang, magagawa natin i-apply sa bahay, and also some tips na rin from special needs educator natin na guest ngayon on how we can extend yung support na yan hanggang sa school setting. Yan. Our lovely guest for today, so ipapasok ko na po sila sa screen. Ayan. Na-meet ko lang po sila via LinkedIn and super hanggang ngayon, very appreciative po ako, nakakataba ng puso na napaunlakan po nila tayo dito sa free webinar na to. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming Teacher Myla and Teacher Myla Castillo Andes and Teacher Kathleen Peralta Daria. Yan. So, say hello, teachers. Teacher Myla and Teacher
Hello.
Kathleen. Ayan. Ayan, medyo shy pa po sila. I think first time niyo po ba to, teach? Ayan,
Yes po.
okay, okay. So, ayan po, ayan. Ano lang, konting intro lang sa mga speakers natin. So, let's first give a bit of a background about them, no? So, si Teacher Myla, isa siyang Special Education Coordinator. She is also an EBE therapist, physical therapist, and offers consultation and informal educational, behavioral, and social skills assessment. She has worked in Singapore and Jakarta. And currently, isa siyang ABA therapist and life skills and gifted student teacher at Infinity Education Center. Yan. Si Teacher Kathleen naman is a licensed occupational therapist, behavior therapist, and a licensed teacher. Currently working naman siya as an inclusive early childhood educator in Jakarta, Indonesia. Yan. So, before po tayo mag-jump in dun sa ano, I'll just say hi to our viewers, si Miss, I don't know kung Miss o Mr. ba to, Daddy ba or Mommy, Rosmel Oyalo Casha. Hello po sa inyo. Thank you for watching us for today. And ayan, first questions ko, teacher, mag-shoot na ako ng question ko. Curious lang din ako, teachers, no? You already have licenses ng PTOT, ganyan. Bakit po kayo nag-take ng behavior therapy certification? So, I'll start with Teacher Myla.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon to everyone. I think thank you for that question, Mommy Loi. So I think it's just about the need. I think it's just the need to explore more on my passion to teach special needs. And I think, yeah, I'm directed towards handling behaviors. So, and I want to be part of, the journey of these students. I really want to help the parents also to be able to handle their kids at home. in terms of the behavior. Yeah, I think that's about it, Miloy.
Okay po, sige po. Take note po yan. Interesting, no? And thank you for this information, no, teacher. My next question would be, ano naman po yung ABA na to? Kasi I think the first time I learned about this is nung mamit ko nga po yung first ABA therapist nung son ko way back 2015. Pero I'm not sure kung gaano nakatagal yung ABA na yan. And para saan ba yan? Especially noon, hindi ko talaga alam. Sabi ko, ano ba to? Bago lang to kasi lagi ko narinig speech therapy and occupational therapy. So, when can we tell also no na itong ABA therapy is also right for our kids?
Okay. So ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. So I think when I'm talking to parents, so I need to be as layman as possible. I use layman terms to actually explain it. So as a behavior therapist, I usually use plus and minus of behaviors. So what do I mean by that? Because behavior is what we do, what
Mm-mm.
our actions, okay, to our reactions to things, to the environment. So for me, behavior is like when you increase the the good behaviors and decrease or minus the inappropriate behaviors in certain
Mm-mm.
situations or environment. um, I've been handling ABA for quite a while, and I have many colleagues also doing the same thing. And I've seen a lot of progress with the students, especially with early intervention. So in ABA, we kind of like establish those baselines, those basic skills of waiting, compliance, and then maybe communication, especially the imitation skills, because we
Mm-mm.
deal more about the communication, establishing more meaningful communication and social skills, and at the same time, the life skills or the self-help skills of
Mm-mm.
the student. So, for me to say it is the right thing to for the students, I think it is the right thing, but it has to come together with the other therapies as well. It's not
Yes.
going to be like standing alone and it will create progress for kids. It has to be like with other existing therapy as well. And it's a research based anyway. So a lot of people, a lot of parents, a lot of families already been into the ABA or use ABA as their first therapy. So I think it is also we can say that the child is actually progressing with it if the child is willing to go to your session each time.
Mm.
They're happy to see you and they're happy to greet you and they're happy to do activities with you. And because it's ABA, so we develop those skills also with the children.
Mm. And maalala ko lang, teacher, we're
Mm-mm.
talking about ABA. The first time that my son had an ABA, actually, since dito sa Pilipinas, mas kilala yung speech and OT. And most of the developmental pediatrician talagang yun yung unang parang nire-recommend na early intervention. However, I don't want to, ano naman sounded like favorite ko yung ABA, no, it's not like that. More of, I'm just bringing out awareness na I think for me personally, if we want our child, especially yung kapag heightened pa yung autism behavior nila, I would suggest or maybe recommend personally talaga na mag-EBA muna simply because they teach kasi yung compliance part. And before, nung hindi pa kasi siya nag-ABA si Louie, our sessions in both OT and speech seems for me um, parang naging waste of time kasi half of every 1 hour. 1 hour session kasi ang speech and OT tig 1 hour yan. Half of it, tantrums lang ang bata. And then
Mm-mm.
the other half, pahirapan pang i-subject sila dun sa kung ano yung kailangan ituro ng speech and OT. However, sabi ko, it doesn't make sense kasi dapat mag-comply muna yung bata. So, that's the reason why before ko siya pina-speech and OT before, sinimulan ko na muna yung EBA. Then, nung nandun na siya sa stage na nakaka-comply na siya, lesson na yung ano ba yun, fidgety, yung pagiging fidgety niya, mas nakakaupo na, and nagfo-follow na ng instruction. That's the time that I introduced ng sabay yung speech and OT. And mas naging productive for us kasi nakakasunod na siya, nakikinig na, nagko-comply na. So whenever the speech therapist then and the OT do their therapies, mas effective na kumpara before pa kami mag-EBA na wala pang compliance, parang sabi ko, nahihinayang kasi hindi din biro po yung binabayad namin doon for the speech and OT. So sabi ko, I think that's the right track, no, na i-compliance muna when the child is able to follow, then yun na siya. Yun na yung susunod, yung pagsamasamahin ng silang tatlo. And for me, hindi lang, kasi ako yung tipo ng parent na I really tried everything for my son. Iba-ibang intervention. And I think it also helped in a way kasi we were able to expose him to different modalities. Yon na pwedeng approach sa iba't ibang senaryo nga, whether sa bahay, sa home, even sa mall, or kung saan man. Yan. So, I'll jump into our next question, no, Teach. Kay Teacher Myla naman, again, one of the most asked questions to Teach sa group namin na parents of kids with ADHD and autism. Yung tantrums, picky eating, aggression, defiance, hyperactivity. Yan. So, as a parent, unahin na muna natin na pwedeng gawin, ano po yung mga pwedeng gawin na intervention while at home, and ano po yung ma-share nyo sa amin na tungkol sa mga challenges na yan na nabanggit ko.
Okay. Maybe like we can start with the tantrums. So maybe I'll just go give some strategies that the families or the parents can use at home. I think these are my strategies also that I always actually suggest to my students and the parents. For me, parents' involvement is very important. So I really work with
Yes.
parents, especially if I've seen progress with the student. So in terms of tantrums, in handling tantrums, I think the parent or the teacher or the adult must always be calm when handling
Mm,
it. So because when you're calm, the next thing that you would do is you can think properly on what
yes.
to do next. Okay? So when you see that there is already, and another thing is that for me, it's better to prevent it from happening than to wait that it picks, because the tantrum has always has a cycle. Okay?
Apo.
So you don't need to wait for the child to reach that peak. Because if you reach
Mm,
that peak, it's very hard to redirect, it's very hard to handle it. So when it's prevention time, the more that you give the child options, the more that you give the child power to communicate what is the reason of their tantrum or their anxiety, because it always
mm,
starts with anxiety. It always starts with building up of emotions. So if you notice that and you know your child well, you have to start analyzing it. Oh, okay. I think, do I give options? Do I give in? Do I fight or flight? Something like that. So prevention is always the key. But if sometimes there's no way that you can prevent it from happening, so you have to start to give way to the child to express it. Give
mm,
options still, but I usually give the parents options to use pictures or the
mm.
item, for the child, because if the child having tantrums, they
Especially po siguro pag non-verbal,
yes, especially nonverbal
cannot
yes,
express.
they cannot express well, and they will just like reach that point and that melting point wherein you cannot do anything. So there are ways also that we can do during the prevention and during the time that the child still can control it. We can actually ignore it, and we can actually redirect them. So that's those are the strategies that you can do. But if the child is already at the peak of their tantrum, so you just need to wait until they calm down and then discuss what happened to the child. So just put them in a safe place, like make them feel safe even though they have that extreme emotions.
Apo.
Yes. Ano lang po, bigyan niyo lang po sila ng time to release that, because they cannot really like express it well, and you already reach to the peak, so you cannot do anything. And if they already like calm down and they already can communicate, then talk about it. I think you better do this, or you better choose which one do you want to do, this one or this one, like that. So, and then after that, maybe the next time when the child is already like okay, then discuss it further and maybe give some limitations. Okay,
Mm.
for the, I think the second one is picky eaters.
Picnic, opo.
Yeah,
Picky
so I
eaters.
think a lot of my students also like that, and it's quite challenging for the teachers to teach that as well, and at the same
Mm.
time with the parents. And since picky eaters, and plus they also have diet, the GFD
Yes.
diet. So I think what I suggest for the parents who's having a child with this kind of problem, you need to log, do the log of the food that they like to eat. You have to give them small portions also, but don't give new food during the time that you want to analyze this issue of the child or this problem. Ilag nyo lang po yung kung ano yung mga kinakain nila per day, and kung ano po yung mag-work, kung ano yung hindi mag-work. So, and then, try to introduce new things in small portions. And then, I think trial and error is one of the things that we can use, because if not, the child would not be able to experience it, would not be able to um, what do you call that, experience and taste, those food. And I think if it's like very hard, I there are some experts, that we can also ask about it. But for my case, for my students, I pair it also with the rewards. So I pair it with maybe, but for now, yeah, that the parents are using videos, okay, you eat and then we give you the video,
YouTube, oo, gano'n.
something like that. So I don't discourage that for now, yeah. For now, okay, if you can give like at least according to research, 20 minutes of it a day is okay. So maybe short ones, it depends on
Yes.
the amount of food that the child is taking. I think it should be okay. And then yeah, pairing up rewards, maybe toys, and not only
Mm.
like food, toys, and then like reward, every time the child is not choosing the food or the child is trying new food. For that for the older ones, because I also have older ones who are actually picky eaters. I usually encourage them to have a behavior contract because cognitively they can actually comprehend, and
Mm.
then, yeah, I think trial and error, logging it, and then take note of the food that will be beneficial, and rewards, pair it with rewards.
Share ko
For,
lang
yeah, I think
yung
for,
kung
yes,
sige po,
yes,
sige
miss.
po. Ay, sige, go
um,
ahead, finish share po, yung sa inyo po.
okay, so for I think the next one is the aggressions, or, defiant behavior.
Before we go to the aggressions po, i-share ko lang po yung experience ko with Louis before. Kasi I
Okay,
also
sure.
posted this in my page. Meron ako before na plate na tatlo yung division niya. The bigger triangle, the bigger portion was yung pinaka-favorite niya, which was nuggets. Sobrang gustong-gusto niya yung nuggets kasi because crunchy daw yun eh. Crunchy, crispy, ganyan. So, yung siguro yung sensitivities niya sa food. So, yun yung favorite niya. Then, the other portion would be yung less favorite niya, pero kinakain pa rin naman niya. And then, the last portion is yung bago na gusto ko introduce. So, nung time na nag-experiment ako kung ano yung mga food na gusto niya o gugustuhin, yun yung ginagawa ko naman. So, meron siya yung most favorite, least favorite, and then the new food. So, normally, he would of course finish eating the most favorite niya, and then po susunod niya ng titikman niya yung less favorite kasi ano pa rin naman niya yung gusto niya. And then, tatry ko siyang i-ano na, okay, di ba masarap to, yung second one. So, can you try this new one? Then, if maano siya, tatry niya, then if he tries, doon po, yung sinabi niyo po, yung reward, binibigyan ko din siya ng reward before. It could be toy, it could be yun nga po yung YouTube, a little ano lang play dun sa kanyang mobile game, ganyan. And then hanggang sa ano ko, malag ko din nga, mas lista ko ano yung mga food na gusto niya at hindi niya gusto. So when he grow up, parang nasanay na rin siyang kahit mag-introduce sa kami ng bago, he would still try. Yon, he would still try kasi nandun pa rin yung mga favorite niya, the least favorite and yung mga bago. So, yun lang naman po yung at back then na naisip kong share ko na technique for picky eaters. Yan. So, yung isa naman, teach yung sinasabi mo na yung kanina, yung sa aggression naman po. Sige, go ahead with the aggression naman po. How do we handle those kind of issues naman po with our kids?
Yeah, I think for the aggressions, it's similar to the tantrums. I think there are different kinds of aggressions, like verbal aggressions and then also physical aggressions. So if the child is actually like into physical aggressions, I think it's about time for us to have those limitations set beforehand. So we need to discuss the behaviors with the child if the child is able to. But if the child cannot really comprehend it, we use pictures to actually like discuss this. So we teach the pictures, during the sessions, during the ABA sessions, and then we try to, or maybe with the parents, we actually like ask the parents to generalize it at home, like by through the use of also the reward system, token economy system. Like they need to earn those rewards if they are able to control their emotions. So I think setting goals as well will help the child accomplish, and be able to accomplish and able to learn how to self regulate. Because aggressions will only come when the child is anxious. So it will
Mm.
always start when the child is really like uh, having issues within themselves or in the environment. So we need to decrease those environmental factors, also decrease those reasons or triggers to the child, and then after that, then we can introduce those setting of goals, those token economies, and those behavior contracts. So for my students with hitting behaviors, I teach or modify those hitting behaviors into something meaningful. So it comes in many, many forms, but the hardest one to handle is the verbal aggressions. If the child is actually saying things, rude things,
Oo.
to the parents, to the teachers, or to the therapist. So it's very hard to modify that. But through ABA, we try to uh, eliminate those triggers, and at the same time discuss what is the antecedent of that behavior, the function of that behavior, set consequences, and set goals. That will really help the family on and the child also to handle those aggressions.
Sige po. Yun, ano ko lang clarify ko, the word trigger means po, mga dear parents, is yung, ano yung nakakapag-start dun sa behavior. It could be like teacher Miles said, is could be several, many reasons and different reasons why a child would jump into aggression kasi may nag-trigger sa kanya, may nagsimula bakit nagkaroon ng aggression. So, medyo may mga terms din pong nagagamit si Teacher Miles, no? So, we're gonna drill that further in our future webinars. But for now, let's continue with our discussion. So, kay teacher, ang dami kong notes, ang dami nyo na po sigurong nanonotes, no, mga dear parents. And that was very awesome, Teacher Myla. Kay Teacher Kathleen naman, I'll jump to Teacher Kathleen naman po. Siyempre, lalabas din sa school settings naman, no, sa school. Both of my kids are in school. So, Louis is, during the pandemic, nag-online sila for 2 years. And then now, this year, face-to-face na sila. So these behaviors na nabanggit din natin with Teacher Miles, tantrums, aggression, daydreaming, laziness, hyperactivity. So paano naman po yan i-address both ng parents and teachers? Yan.
Um, uh, Usually, miss, in classroom settings, we need collaboration not only from the teachers because sometimes the parents usually nagre-rely sila sa mga therapists and teachers doing the
Yes.
job for their children. But we need to look at the big box that we only work with the children 4 to 5 hours a day. Why you're working with your own children almost 24 hours a day.
Course.
So
Yes.
it's a collaboration between the parents, the therapists, and the teachers. So yung pag-address ng mga behaviors, usually nagkakaroon ng IEP meeting, which is the individualized educational plan or program na usually binibigay ng mga therapists or mga OTs and developmental pediatricians to the teachers, and then they talk to each other so that maa-address kagad yung problem ng child in the classroom settings. And then usually the teachers can have strategies coming from the therapies so that kasi minsan Miss Loy, some teachers in the mainstream schools are not wala silang background into SpED or wala silang
Mm.
background in, so sometimes they label the child differently. So for example, hindi pa nada-diagnose yung child. So matamad lang 'yan,
Yes.
fidgety lang 'yan. So parang parang sobrang unfair to the child na dina-diagnose mo siya na tamad, na
Mm.
walang walang gana sa
Yung name
school. So
calling na, labeling.
yeah,
Mm.
because some of the teachers, yun nga, wala silang background sa SPED. So, I parang gusto ko siyang i-recommend to some schools here in the Philippines saka sa Jakarta na
Mm.
they should have intensive training sa
Training.
mga, yeah, miss. So it will be better for the children and also for the teachers. And also sa classroom, miss, we do modifications. For example, the exams are medyo mahaba, gano'n. So, ang mga modifications in the classroom, yung font niya, gagawin naming mas malaki, tapos less yung for kunwari distracted yung bata. So, yung mga pictures hindi masyadong madami, hindi
Mm.
masyadong colorful. So, we have these modifications. And then, longer yung time niya. For example, yung typically growing child is meron kaming binibigay na 1 hour for the exam. So yung child with special need, binibigyan namin ng additional 30 minutes. So
Mm.
parang mas okay sana kung medyo open na tayo sa for collaboration so that we will work together for the child.
Mm.
Yun
Ang
po.
ano nga teach itong with my experience with Louie 'no, kasi um, dito sa Pilipinas most private school 'yan, nag-offer sila. They have like special needs ano, may mga program silang ganyan na they have special needs education. But yung sa public, there may certain schools lang na meron. Pero not all of the schools pa dito sa Pilipinas sa public may ganong accommodation for special needs. So, I don't know how I could help out in that area wherein sana ma-recognize ng government how parang yung sabi mo nga important it is that the educators yung nasa mainstream the regular teachers na kung tawagin namin is aware of how they would be handling yung special needs ng bata pati yung accommodations po na nabanggit nyo kanina. We're very lucky no kasi itong si Louie ko nasa grade 4 na siya, pinablik namin siya. And yung school niya, so happen, kilala din naman namin yung principal. So, um, nalagay siya sa isang school, sa ano tawag doon, section wherein hindi man wala man silang special needs na background. They tried to analyze how it's going to be. Parang sila mismo on their own part they have ano tawag nito, nag-a-attend sila din ng mga trainings pero personal ano na nila yon kasi bihira nga or halos wala zero ngayon nabibigay na training ng government or DepEd regarding that matter. But dalawa yung kasing situation. One is yung teacher na napuntahan ni Louie is may son din na may autism. So, we're fortunate that she knows how to handle our child. And yung mismong homeroom teacher nila, um, part of what she does sa masteral is to also analyze yung behavior ng mga batang may special needs. So, may awareness siya. Meron siyang, and sinasabi nga kinukwento nung anak ko sa amin that when they have test, longer yung hours na binigay sa kanya. Tapos, parang in-assist din siya on how he would better understand the question, ganyan. So, may accommodation na nangyari. Pero, voluntary, ano na yon voluntary act na nung teachers. So, sadly, wala pa nga tayo dito sa Pilipinas na talagang masasabi ko, di ba, separate talaga yung government na okay, everybody dito na teacher would be having this kind of training for special need kids. So hopefully, no, one of the reason why I have this kind of webinars is also for the government. Hopefully, makita nila to and see the yung kakulangan ng education system natin kasi we're really really behind in all of those things. So pati yung mga IEP po na nabanggit ninyo, hindi sila aware doon. So we have to give them, kasi before, of course, private, si Louis, we were able to get an IEP for him. So when we introduced that to the public, na school niya ngayon, so nagulat sila, okay, ganito pala ka-extensive to. May goal setting, may observation, trial and error and testing, mga ganyan. So they were not aware of that. So it would really be nice if the government even introduces those kind of tools, di ba, yung mga IEP. And even the parents, they don't even have any knowledge about those kind of planning na nagaganap between the parents and the teachers na rin nung bata. So, talking about IEP, my next question would be, sa mga bansa po ba na pinagtatrabahuhan nyo before, Singapore, yan, Indonesia, yung IEP requirement sa kanila? And pero before yan, paki-explain nga po muna yon yung IEP. Ano po ba yung tinatawag na IEP? Ano yung nakikita nila supposedly dyan? Kasi dito, maraming nakikita online IEPs, format, layouts ng IEP. But what is really important in IEP? What is it for? Ano yung mga goals niya na pwede nyo po ma-share sa mga mommies and daddies na nanonood nitong webinar natin na to?
For IEP, usually it's individualized, meaning custom siya sa bata. Hindi yung, for example, for Teacher Myla, hindi siya pwedeng plan ko rin. So parang naka-specialize talaga siya para sa isang estudyante. Kasi minsan yung iba parang generalized. So dapat siya, individualized talaga. So yung mga needs ko, hindi naman needs ni Teacher Myla. So dapat talaga pinag-uusapan siya within the therapists, the teachers, and the parents. Usually, naka-indicate sa IEPs yung programs and then long-term goals and short-term goals and then the strategies. Tapos, kung kailan ulit kayo magkikita, yung mga meetings and duration at yung mga goals na dapat ilagay sa IEP. Because I think IEP is very very important for goal setting saka yung kung paano malalaman kung nag-progress na ba yung bata.
And the accommodations na
Yeah,
ibibigay during that
yeah.
period, no, before pa mag-meeting and after meeting, parang ganyan.
For me, yes, sa Singapore medyo strict sila doon. So may mga IEPs, may mga IEP programs and then saka mga meetings, but for my case, yung na-experience ko sa environment ko sa Jakarta, my school, hindi pa kami open sa IEP. So, medyo, since ako, medyo may background ako sa SpED. So,
I-introduce,
yun,
no?
na-accommodate ko yung mga child with special needs. Saka, yung mga hindi pa nadadiagnose, usually kasi nakaka-observe ng mga signs and symptoms, usually yung mga preschool teachers na mga
Mm.
ini-enroll pa lang. So, medyo okay kung may background yung teacher. But I don't know with Teacher Miles, in your case, ano po ba yung sa inyo. Sa Singapore, medyo okay po yung IEP program saka sa Philippines. Then sa
Mm.
Jakarta na pinagtatrabahuhan ko, hindi pa gano'n ka-open. Wala
Mm.
pa kaming gano'n ka-intensive program for IEPs. Teacher Myla, would you like to
All right.
add?
So in this case, Mommy Loi and Teacher Kathleen, I think yeah we implement IEP here. So I make sure I always make IEP programs for every students that we have. So in our IEP, yes, of course we have the present level of performance. We also have those long-term goals and object long-term goals and the short-term goals. And then I also include all the markers.
Mm.
How do we gauge or measure the progress of the child and the strategies that the parents would do at home? Because, like what I've said, I am pro parents involvement. I want them to be
Mm.
involved in any sa lahat ng gagawin dun sa mga estudyante. So the IEP is our I like to use Bible.
Yung
You
yes,
it's
oo.
actually like respect that document here in the center. So we have set goals that we need to accomplish, and if we need to drop it and we need to change it and we need to do some modifications, and then we do it. That's how
Mm.
I here in our center. So maybe my teacher Kathleen is saying because like in here in Jakarta there's no standard. So
Mm.
some
Mm.
centers would implement it, some institutions or schools would implement it, but not all or not implemented by the whole system of the whole government of Jakarta. But in
Mm.
our center, we do it, and those are the IEP is the most important document that we have here.
Mm. And natanda ko din yung si Louie kasi nagkaroon siya IEP, kinder and grade 1 siya eh. And na meron goal setting, may interview with the parents, tapos meron din kami doon na um, kasi from goal setting, yung parang every quarter ata nagmi-meeting din kami. Tapos tinitingnan, may shadow teacher siya noon eh. So, ang ka-meeting namin lagi, yung mismong parang main teacher niya, the shadow teacher, which is yun yung lagi niyang kasama sa class, and then kami na parents. So, nag-brainstormingan kami noon, nag-uusap kami kung ito bang na-set na goals na achieve. And then per subject siya teach eh. May reading, may math, parang per subject tapos naka-individualize nga, parang personalize talaga kay Louie. And then, ang hindi lang, I think one thing that we failed to do that time is, even if nagme-mainstream na siya, hindi na involve ang regular teacher. So the regular teacher doesn't even know what we're talking about. Pero ang iniisip ko na lang, and I think one of the discussions before is, yung pinaka-main teacher niya sa SpED was the one communicating with the regular teacher. However, for me, I think it would be worthwhile kung kasama na siya dun sa meeting pa lang with the main teacher, the shadow teacher, and the parents, di ba? So, na kung may tanong man siya or may masasuggest din siya, naririnig din namin. So, hindi naman namin na-requestion before kasi yun nga, we're not fully aware of how things should be going kapag ka merong IEP meetings na ganyan. And then, dun nga, nung ginawa na namin siyang public, we had to introduce IEP dun sa teacher. Pero, it was not really follow through. So, hindi na namin na-follow through yon. But we just gave them a copy of what he has before. So, yun na lang yung naging ano nila. Pero, maybe because it's public or yun nga, hindi naman naging customary or standard dito sa Pilipinas na even public should have an IEP. Hindi ni-require. Kami, as a parents, din na namin ni-require yon. And parang kung ano na yung nagiging standard nung pagtuturo sa klase, yun na siya. So, nag-rely na lang din kami sa capability, kakayahan ng teacher na if ever magbigay man kayong accommodations, then well and good. Kasi pero yun nga kasi parang siguro hindi na rin namin inaasahan na magpo-push through pa pero the principal that left before that we met na he left na kasi napunta na siya sa ibang school. One of his gusto niya sana maging legacy niya is to introduce that sa public kung saan man siya nadoon. Kaso mo, nilipat na siya. So, natigil na yung plans na to introduce that in a public setting kasi it would be a nice project kung sakali na doon man lang sa school nila ma-introduce yon, ma-follow through, masundan sa mga susunod na grade level. So, malay nyo, kung sakaling nag-push through nga yun, gayahin na rin ng ibang school. So, maybe it's not yet time. Parang inaano ko na lang siguro there will be other opportunities out there na that will kasi sa akin, ako as a parent, I really advocate yung mga ganyan. So, we try our best to push it through dun sa mga nakikilala naming tao. So, one of those nga is the principal and the teacher na nakilala namin dyan sa public school ni Louie. Kaya lang syempre, we can only do as much as a parent. The move or the bigger role there would be the government pa rin, di ba?
Yes.
And of course, yung system and the education system itself. So, hopefully talaga, through these webinars, they'll be able to realize how important these things are, no, sa growth ng special need kids and pati na rin ng education system natin here in the Philippines. So, yan. I'll move on to our next discussion, which will be um, ano po ba yung dapat na i-discuss with the teachers? Ano po yung mga special accommodations na dapat i-request namin from the school for our kids? Pero bago mo sagutin yan, Teacher Kathleen, I would like to say hi sa mga nanonood ngayon. Sila, Mommy, Sweet Miles, Sheila B, uh, siya ba yun? Si Mommy Miles? Si, ano to, EBCCA, ayan. Um, Sino pa ba? Si Mami Rosmel kanina na-mention ko na. So shoot in nyo lang po yung mga tanong nyo ha para masagot din po yan later nila Teacher Kathleen and Teacher Miles. But we're going to go through kasi a series of questions with them. Then after siguro before tayo mag-end, sasagutin namin po yung mga iba pang tanong na makikita namin sa thread natin sa comment section ng event na to. Ayan. So going back to my question, teacher, ano po ba yung mga dapat naming i-discuss with the teachers? Ano po yung mga special accommodations na dapat i-request namin as a parent from the schools of our kids? Ayan.
Um, you can tell the teachers na kunwari, highly distracted yung kids. So, para mabawasan yung mga decoration sa school, less yung colors, tapos medyo malawak yung kung fidgety yung hands niya, kung okay lang ba yung fidget toys, tapos kung how many times will the child go to the toilet for toilet breaks. Tapos, kung gaano kalaki ba yung nakikita niya sa board, how do they copy, tapos kung meron ba siyang pencil grips. So, everything must be, kailangan pag-usapan ng teachers and the therapists and the parents. Because, yun nga, pag kunwari, hindi pa kakilala ng teacher yung child, so everything nagre-rely yung teacher sa IEP saka sa teachers that working with the child and the parents. Po.
Share ko lang yung experience ko naman. Lagi ako nag-share, no? Kasi dami ko po talagang na-experience pagdating kay Louie. Nung time na may IEP din kami, tama po, na-experience namin yan. Yung even kung gaano siya kalapit dapat dun sa board and sino yung katabi niya. That time kasi hindi siya madaldal. Tinabihan talaga siya ng madadaldal na kaklase niya. So, after that year, isa na siya sa madadaldal sa klase. And nakatulong po yun sa social skills din niya. So, whenever they have group activity, since kasama niya nga is very active, very madaldal, so nainganyo siya. I think one of the technique that they had na gusto ko nung time na yon kasi nasa regular setting siya, kasama niya mga regular kids, dalawa lang silang special kids dun sa kwarto, and may shadow teacher siya, but the shadow teacher medyo nagpalit-palit po kami ng shadow teacher kasi some of the shadow teachers talagang sila mismo gumagawa ng pinapagawa kay Louie. Some of the shadow teachers naman, naayaan nila si Louie. The last shadow teacher that we had for him, um, really has a background about this kasi psychology graduate siya, tapos developmental psychology ba yung term na inaano niya sa major niya. So, alam niya yung mga dapat niyang gawin as a shadow teacher, which is not to turo si little boy kung ano yung isusulat niya dun sa sasagutin nila, but more of teaching him independence pag nandun sa classroom. Dapat focus ka kay teacher. He needs to understand kasi na kukuha siya ng ano po yun, ng instructions from the main teacher, not from the shadow. Yan, parang ganun po. And I think that that last year of na meron siyang IEP, I think it was a success kasi nagbago yung social skills niya. Na-meet namin yung goals dun sa IEP niya that time sa school niyang yon. And yun nga, effective din kasi yung shadow nga na anuhan siya. And which is, I think, kahit na nung nagka-pandemic na at na-introduce na namin siya sa regular talaga na setting, hindi na nangailangan ng shadow. So, nakapag-transition siya kahit papano. So, ayan. So, hopefully po, tuloy-tuloy yung transitioning niya. Yung magandang transitioning niya sa school. Yan. So, dito naman teacher, anyone of you can answer naman this next question. I'd like to quote this parent po to parent yung nag-ask nito. Is it really common practice in the Philippines during therapy sessions, the parents or guardians is not allowed inside the room or yung therapy center? Is there anyone here that allows parents to observe their therapy sessions? Based po sa experience nyo abroad, di, or dito na rin po, ano po yung may papayo nyo, share ninyo about dun sa question ng mami na yon? Kasi nag-ask siya anonymously sa group and hindi siya tinanong, siguro hindi siya, alam ko hindi siya inalaw na pumasok dun sa therapy session. So, how is it po ba sa settings ninyo dyan? Okay lang po ba nga na napapanood ng parent or hindi? Anyone po, si Teacher Miles man o si Teacher Kathleen?
In my case po, there are times na kailangan namin yung parents na manood. Merong times naman na hindi kailangan. Since, sometimes yung behavior po kasi, usually comfortable siya with the parent. So,
Mm.
usually, nagtatantrum siya or nagsisik siya ng attention with the parent around. So,
Mm.
usually, sinasabi po namin na, Mommy and Daddies, pwede po bang kami muna mag-assess sa child? So, para makikita po namin yung talagang behavior ng child. But, usually, kailangan din po namin yung mga parents around. There are times na kailangan din po namin yung parents around so that they can also give us strategies na ganito po siya, hindi po siya galito, ganun po. So, minsan po okay, minsan din
Okay lang.
po okay lang.
Depende po
Lalo po,
siguro sa circumstances na po.
opo.
Yes. Yes
Miss
po.
Sa inyo,
Miles.
Teacher Miles.
I think, yeah, like from the start, I said parents' involvement is one of my things. So I really appreciate if they would join the sessions or they would actually like participate, in the goals of the therapy. And I usually, sometimes I want them to watch it so they will have the follow up at home. So they
Mm-mm.
would be
Yeah.
able to actually do the strategies that's working on, and then they could give feedback also for the strategies that's not working,
Mm-mm.
or we need to modify or we need to change, because they are also part of the team, right? So it's not like you work with the child and you just work like what you shared earlier, Mami Loi. It's very good that you work with shadow teachers, with the teachers, with the principal, and etc. That's a very good teamwork for the
Mm-mm.
child to progress better. So if yung setting ko po dito, I usually like give them, a chance to see it. I open my door, there's like a slide
Mm-mm.
opening on my door, but recently I just did not do it because of the pandemic. But I would do it by next time. But I have to let them see from my door, and I allow them, I welcome them as much as the child can handle it. Like Miss Kathleen said, if the situation permits it, then I would. If not, of course, if I will be like, having struggle in handling the behaviors, then mommy, I think I
Oo.
really need to handle this because the distraction is you, something like that.
Correct.
So
Opo. Totoo. Meron naman ako kasi na-experience kasi yung mismong room, there was a window outside.
mhm.
It was one way lang. The parent
Ah,
nasa labas, nakikita niya yung bata sa loob. Pero the kids, kita lang nila mirror. So even if
yes,
they
that's right.
see, hindi nila kita parents outside. So, I did open those kind of things dun sa mga napasukan ni Louie. Pero yun nga, syempre, kailangan nilang gumawa ng gano'n sa room, di ba? Pero that was like a good idea if ever parents would like to and I think it's also a good idea para nakita din ng parents na ito pala nangyayari during class, ganyan, and then they could ask questions kapag may nakita silang
Yes,
gusto nilang nangyayari yan sa bahay, paano po nyo ina-handle, ganyan.
address.
So, yeah, paano ina-address. So, I think that was a really good idea na may ganun yung school na yon. So, but of course, for the rest, they wouldn't be aware that that can be done. So, all I can do is to just share yung ganong kind of na-experience kong setting. And I think it was a good idea, yung one-way mirror na yon. So, ayun, yun lang po. And dito naman po tayo sa question number 8. For kids na nasa puberty, ito naging concern ko din to as a parent. So, lapit na. Siyempre, papatuloy na po namin yung mga little one namin. And magkaka-menstruation naman yung iba. So, how do we manage that? I mean, anong klaseng preparation yung need naming mga parents and pati na rin yung preparation for the kiddos should they enter that stage?
Mami, nung na-experience ko during internship, um, for example, for puberty within pag lalaki po siya, parang nililipat po namin siya sa male therapist. While the um,
Hmm.
child na girl na in puberty sa female therapist.
Hmm.
So, parang binibigyan po namin siya ng mga video clips about the puberty stage and everything. And then nagde-demo po kami how to put sanitary napkins on their underwears, and then what to touch, and sino yung magta-touch sa'yo, ano yung bawal, how to say no, kasi medyo delikado na yung
Sensitive
gano'n,
yun, di ba? Oo.
opo. Tapos yun po parang nililipat po namin yung male sa male therapist kasi mas ma-a-address po nila yung pangangailangan ng mga mga boys.
Voice, oo, pang-voice
Yeah,
naman.
Mhm.
opo. Saka po yung kunwari, body changes, yung mga body odor po nila, tinuturo
Hair
rin
sa
po na,
amin.
yeah, opo. Kunwari meron na po silang may mga body odor, so paano sila magiging clean, so tinuturo rin po namin yun. Bale,
Buti
yun
nga,
po.
si Louie nung nagkaroon siya ng first hair niya sa sensitive part niya, hindi siya nag-freak out. Sabi lang niya, "Oy, tata, I also have one like yours." Sabi niya. Pero di ba, pero para sa akin, if it was like siguro different kids, baka, nag-iiyak na yun, nagwawala na, parang ganyan. So, hindi ko ma-imagine how the parents would handle kung gano'n naman yung naging reaction ng bata. No? So, lucky lang siguro ko dahil si Louie kasi minsan may pagkapilyo siya eh. So, may mga ganun siyang, side comments. Yan. Sa inyo naman po, Teacher Mas, paano yung setting sa inyo pag may gano'n ng nasa puberty age na yung mga bata?
I think because I've handled students with teenagers, yeah. I had the experience of teaching a male student because
Mm.
I have no option. So prior to that, because it's part of the IEP to teach the student the self help or the grooming and the hygiene thing. So it's like what Teacher Kathleen said. So we teach the students using pictures first, and then
Mm.
after that we show them what is no, what is
Mm.
not allowed and not allowed, and then actually social stories for those students who can actually understand. So
Mhm.
we ask the parents also, especially the father, the father figure, to actually start it with the child. So like now, I have a student in a regular school. They just had like sex education um,
Mhm.
program in the school. So he's very curious about it. The changes in the body, the emotions that goes with it.
Mhm.
and then how to feel, how do you feel it with the opposite sex, like that. So I think father figure is actually very important, and we communicate with the father. So at least the father, if male father, if the child is male, or
Mhm.
the father figure is very important. If for the of course for the girls, then the women or the mothers are very important. For
Mhm.
for the female, yes, preparation is the key, because they
Mhm.
need to understand that menstrual periods actually comes with pain. So
Yes, oo.
the child must be prepared to feel the pain, and to understand that she will feel the pain the moment that she will have the period. I have
Mhm.
I had a student also that I prepared for that, and now she's very good in handling it. So we did a lot of preparations, and the parents were actually scared, and they want to actually inject so it will stop. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's something that we cannot stop, and the child must have
Oo,
this kind
normal.
of
Oo.
experiences. Yeah, but preparations is actually the key to this, and actually like mindset. Need to
Mhm.
need to
Mhm.
like do the mindset, use of pictures, it will help, and use of the male figure and the female figure, either the teacher or the parents of the children.
Opo. Ma-add
Yeah.
ko lang, though this is not a special needs school, it's a school of my daughter na nasa puberty age na kasi sila, grade 7 na siya ngayon eh. So, I think nasa grade 4, 5 pa lang sila, they had this subject about changes sa body nila, puberty, ganyan. And yung topic about when they should say no to touches of sino lang yung pwedeng mag-touch sa'yo, sino yung when can you detect if the touch is a no-no, mga ganon. So, those kind of sensitive topics diniscuss with the kids. So,
Mm.
aware yung bata na, okay, this is my body, I should take care of it, respect it, people should also respect it. There's nobody else who should be touching me, ganyan, ganyan. So, it goes with, of course, all of those topics about puberty and ano. So, sana may mga ganun din even for public schools, no, and even in both, actually both private and public schools, may mga ganun sila ding program. Kasi it could really, really help. Kasi ako nga, nagulat na lang ako, uy, wow, may ganun topic kayo. Kasi I was worried eh. Kasi neurotypical siya, hindi man siya special needs. I was worried how I could handle yung mga questions niya. She asked questions about baby, she asked questions about paano yung nung menstruation niya, para saan ba yan, can it be stopped? Sabi ko gano'n, ang dami mong questions, anak, seka, hindi ko kaya sagutin lahat yan. So, buti na lang yung school niya, may ganong initiative, may ganong program sila. So, it really helped, no? It really helped us parents. So, yan. Ayan. So, thank you very much. I don't think we have any other questions naman coming from our audience, but I would like to recognize yung mga comments nila. Ipa-flash ko na lang po ngayon dito. Yung kala ayun, Rosmel, about the public SpED, yun nga po, hindi nga po, sana nga po mabigyan daw ng free assessment ng DepEd. Um, Thank you din po sa panonood. This is the reason why we're tackling this issue. Through initiative na lang po na talaga ng mga teachers to be more inclusive. And of course, parents, tayo din, may voice tayo. If we know the teacher, we know the principal, the people who would be handling our kids, use our voice as parents to not only educate them, magkwento, mag-ask din kayo ng questions. It's our right as parents. Kasi if we do not, yun nga sabi nila teacher, if we do not collaborate with them, tayo din naman mahihirapan, no? So, ask questions. Even if asking questions, if we don't know what to do, ask questions. Thanks po sa mga advices kung paano i-handle ang mga little ones namin. And sana nga po, no, ano kayo and ma-follow through din po niya yan sa bahay and with your therapists and teachers sa school. Yes, government natin, sana maglagay sila ng mga therapy sa mga SpED public. Actually, some public schools po, I heard there are mga free
DepEd
DepEd
assessment.
and OTST, meron na, may mga ganyan na. May, mas marami nga lang sa private. Yan, yung mga ganon. And given na kulang po suporta ng government para sa education ng children with special needs, sana saan mas better na ipasok ang bata, private o public? Ang downside lang kasi, yes, downside yung private. So, for me personally, as a parent, kayo din kasi makaka-assess niyan. Not all private are okay. Kasi na-experience ko 'yan. Ang ganda-ganda ng facade, ang ganda-ganda ng promotion, but until you get inside and see what's really going on, it's not, you won't be aware of what's happening. No, so na-experience ko 'yan. Kaya nga kami din what do you call this, uh, nag-public for now kasi we wanted to try other modalities for our kid. So sa akin po personally, you really have to ask questions before you could really decide kung private o public. Ano yung circumstances ng bata. And of course, ano nyo naman yan kakatanong nyo dun sa mga tao na nasa private man o sa public, malalaman nyo. Kayo po ba, teachers? Ano po yung suggestion nyo dun? Kasi natanong niya kung private ba o public eh.
For me, miss, private. Private
Okay.
first. Para kasi no, kasi parang konti lang ang ratio ng teacher
Hmm,
to student for private setting while in public.
yun pa pala,
Though
oh,
hindi ko
consider
though
din.
hindi ko yeah, though hindi ko naman inaano na mas maganda talaga sa private, pero yung ratio saka modality saka yung mga facilities ng private mas okay.
Mm.
Pero yun nga sabi mo nga miss na it's not only the modalities, it's not only the facilities, it's also the people who works with the children,
Yes.
right? Yun
Kasi,
po.
kasi, kasi yung private school na yun, hindi ko naman papangalanan, they have a good ratio, teacher and student ratio. But I would say, I'm not happy with how they perform. Buti na lang kasi meron silang mixture of online and then yung face-to-face. And during the online classes, I really saw what was happening and hindi ako masaya dun sa sorry naman, pero hindi ako masaya dun sa naging interaction ng mga teachers with the pero that was a naman yun, isolated case. That was typically for just one that private school na hindi ko na lang papangalanan. But for the rest of the private school that I had before, good student and teacher ratio. The bigger ones, the bigger institutions have really more what do you call this, established systems or processes, yon. And yun nga, ang kagustuhan ko naman sa public is yung teachers naman kasi they're very passionate at what they do. Open naman sila kung sakali no mabibigyan ng training and all and resources perhaps kung mabibigyan sila ng government. I think it could really also work with public. Hindi lang sila kasi properly trained, kulang din sa resources, sa tools. So, kumbaga nafe-feel ko rin yung nila, yung dilemma nila as a teacher, parang ganun po. So, yun. Ikaw, Teacher Miles, ano naman po yung preference niyo dyan? Private o public?
I will be biased because I'm part of private. Okay,
Okay
so
lang
but
naman po.
yeah, so of course, private you can actually give more concentration to certain goals. You know, the focus is more when you are in a private school or center. But of course, budget wise and maybe quality wise, what do you call that? Yeah, budget wise of the parents, I think I will suggest like public, but given the support. Okay, if you would choose the public one, you should support, your
Yes,
kids
support.
with other things, because I
Mm-mm.
think the public schools in the Philippines are not yet not really, ready yet for that. And then if you are going to do the private, maybe you can do it for the initial stages, like what you
Yep.
did, Master, right? At the
Apo.
private first, yeah.
Private
Because
school muna na una. Mm-mm.
yeah, so it's like LR is also least restrictive environment. So at least like you prepare the child for that generalization. So the
Yes.
generalization part is actually the public school, something like that. So I
Kasi
can
may
choose
mga
both.
ina-address pa po kasi 'di ba na behavior eh. The smaller yung environment, the lesser the distraction. I think mas
Yes.
ma-attend yung mga behaviors niya and everything. pag ready naman na yung bata, makikita nyo yun may signal siya Pwede nyo na
Yes.
siya lagay itig doon sa mas malalaking environment. Yun yung naging
True.
namin doon sa bunso ko Kaya, nung mga unang stages talaga, sabi ko, small lang. Kung pwedeng tatlo nga lang sila, okay lang Which I did. I had a SpED before na tatlo lang talaga yung bata and concentrated, focus talaga si teacher. She was able
Mm-mm.
to address talaga tatlo pang special needs yun Then later on, saka lang namin siya inintroduce sa, I think, mga bigger group na like say mga 5, 6 na may kasama ng hindi special
Yes.
needs. So paunti-unti lang po talaga kung sa And ang important doon kasi, ang gusto ko i-point out dito, advocate ang parent. The best advocate kasi yung
True.
parent. We can speak out for our kids, ano yung gusto nating mangyari. And andyan naman yung mga therapists, yung teachers to support us if we also support them, di ba po? So,
Yes.
yun yung pinaka-key doon Kasi some parents would just, yung, dapat ganito ginawa ng school, dapat ganyan. No, it's not. Kayo as a parent, may magagawa din po kayo di ba po? So, ano yan like I said, collaboration. That's a perfect word for that. If we don't collaborate, we don't work together, then pare-pares lang po mahihirapan. Ayan. So, thank you very much, no, Teacher Kathleen, Teacher
Opo
Miles.
po.
Ang sarap ng discussions natin sa na to. Sana maulit pa. Ang dami pa pong tanong yan, for sure. And kayo din po mga dear parents, no? Saan po pala kayo makokontak to pa pala before we end? Saan po pala kayo makokontak nila ng mga parents natin if in case pwede po if they have very specific questions na hindi siya general na tanong, very specific for their children. So, are you able to give po, share yung contact details nyo, maybe a page or an email that you would want to share so that we could na lang yun flash ko rin po yun later sa sa grupo.
Email na lang po, email.
Sige po, email po.
Email.
Email po. Sa email po, sige, send ko na lang po mga dear parents yung email sa comment section kasi I don't have it right now in front of me. But Teacher Miles and Teacher Katin has given me their email. So if ever may mga questions pa po kayo specific to your child, you could send an email to them. Ayan, yun na lang po siguro. Oh, here, si Teacher Mas. I-flash ko na yung kay Teacher Mas. Teacher Kathleen, would you be able to give dito sa private
Sige po.
natin? So that I could flash it. Yan. So yung kay Teacher Miles, this one. Teka, lakihan ko lang po sorry, ito pala. Yan. Dito na lang sa private chat din po. Pwede nyo po i-share Teacher Kathleen. So yung kay Teacher Miles ay ito. Myla Castillo Andes LSP @gmail.com. Ayan. Yung kay Teacher Kat, ito naman. Wait lang po I-flash na rin natin para makita ng lahat. Then, isi-send ko na lang din po dun sa comment section, dear parents, itong mga emails sila so that you could check nyo na lang po sa comment section later. Ayan. So, thank you.
And Mommy Loi, if they have questions and also they want some therapies kasi we're connected with other therapists in the Philippines po. Kami
Yes.
po ni Teacher Miles na minsan po yung pwede pong mag-charity or yung mga private po, pwede po kami mag-recommend ng mga therapists pong kilala namin.
Yay!
Yes,
Sige po. Looking forward kami dyan. Thank you. Ayan. So, ayan fino-flash ko po and then na-add ko din sa comment section later after the show yung emails nila teacher. Thank you. That's really nice, Teach. Okay yon yung may marirecommend po kayo kasi daming nagtatanong din sa mga kung anong therapy center na malalapit sa kanila.
Opo.
Ayan. So, thank you. Sorry, nag-overtime tayo na onte. Super thank you, Teacher Kathleen, Teacher Myla. Ang dami po talaga namin natutunan. And even ako, tagal-tagal ko na rin, pinag-aaralan yung mga ganito. Pero hanggang ngayon, no, everyday sa learning talaga. Everyday marami kang matututunan. And for sure, iba-vlog ko to. Gumagawa ko ng mga ganyan vlogs, ginagawa ko yan.
Kasi Mommy Loi, we would like to commend you. You're very supportive as a parent.
Yes!
Very good.
Hindi lang ako, Mami. Ay,
Very
teacher,
good
yung
ka.
asawa ko rin. Sobrang hands up din ako sa asawa ko kasi siya especially nung bumalik na siya sa Pilipinas kasi he's been an OFW. So, pinag-pray ko, sabi ko nga, kahit ako na lang yung mag-isang magtrabaho for us, para lang gusto ko buo kami sa family. Kasi feeling ko yun yung missing link yung magkakasama kami. And true enough, when he got back, sobrang ang dami ding naging pagbabago doon sa bunso ko. And even sa daughter ko. So, gusto ko rin acknowledge yung hirap ng mga tao na nakasuporta sa amin, family ko, family niya, siya, yung husband ko, and of course, yung community ko. Hindi ko naman po makakayanan din lahat ng to kung wala sila eh. So, of course, the teachers, the therapists, the schools, yan. And most especially, yung miracle na binigay ni God. Kasi I always say talaga na kahit na anong intervention siya, kung walang basbas ng Diyos yan, I don't think, I still believe in miracles. So, yan, like ko sinasabi sa kanila, ipagsabay-sabay nila yan, prayers, yung actions as parents. And sana ito na-appreciate ng community kasi sobrang hindi po biro yung pinagdaanan ko eh. Naku, ayoko umiyak ha. Hindi po biro yung pinagdaanan ko when I was a parent na yung heightened talaga yung ni Louie. Lahat talaga parang sabi ko hopeless na ba? Parang ganyan. Pero 'di ba, sabi nga nila at the end of each rainbow may pot of gold, ganyan. So parang hindi ka naman bibigyan ng ganyang experience kung hindi mo kakayanin, 'di ba? So, 'yun lang naman gusto ko ma-inspire yung mga parents na it's not the end of the road, no? May pag-asa, may hope. There are so many people na pwedeng tumulong sa amin as a parent. And yun lang, kailangan lang din namin kami yung pinaka na advocate ng mga bata. Ayan. So, super thank you ulit. And thank you for joining us here in Life with Mommy Loi's Awesome's Connection. We appreciate you guys, dear parents, watching us, and hope you have learned a lot from this discussion. This particular live session will have replays po, as mentioned earlier. After po nito, makita nyo yung replay dyan. Push the button lang, i-play nyo, and makita nyo yung replay. And what else? Please share na rin po itong video na to other people who you think might be needing this information. And of course, benefit yung mga napag-usapan namin ng mga teachers. Knowledge is power. And if we know these things, we are more equipped to help our children. Sa parents yan, and for, of course, sa mga teachers for their students. So, till next episode po. Thank you. Awesome connections. Thank you.
Thank
Sige
you.
po.
Bye-bye.
Thank you po. Bye-bye po.
Bye-bye.
So,